In this video, I'm going to be talking about being a gentleman, and I'm going to give you the 7 steps of how you can become a gentleman. But first of all, what is a gentleman and why do we need to become one? Well, throughout the Bible, we see many examples of great men, but there was one man in particular who was greater than them all, and that was Jesus Christ, God himself incarnated as a man. He was perfect and without sin. And we see these traits throughout his life that he possesses, traits of a certain type of man, a man of integrity, a man of kindness, strength, firmness, but also gentleness. This kind of man is a gentleman. So in this video, I'm going to break down the 7 parts of being a gentleman. These are things which I, every day, am trying to implement into my life to become a gentleman. And hopefully by the end of this video, you'll be able to do the same in your life. So the first step, the first part of being a gentleman is having strength under control. It says in Proverbs 16:32, "Better a patient man than a warrior, a man who controls his temper than one who takes a city." You see, as men, we are strong. Maybe you're not physically strong, you can't bench press 150 kilo or squat 400 pounds, but you are strong. You are capable of doing damage, whether it be with your words or your physical body. Real strength, biblical strength, is not the aggression. It's not all of that power, but it's actually your ability to control it and harness it. I talked about this in my most recent video, 7 Traits of Godly Men. And it's not bad by any means to be strong and capable. In fact, it's a great thing, but we have to be able to control it. And the stronger we are physically, the stronger we are with our words, the more damage we're able to do with our words, the more responsibility that comes with. We have a responsibility as men to be able to control that, to channel that into the right things. If you can't even have control and take responsibility of yourself, then how do you expect to be able to take responsibility for your future wife or your family one day, or your community and your friends? Being a gentleman is not about being aggressive, but it's about having control over the power that you do have. The second part to being a gentleman is such a big thing, and that is to treat women with honor and purity. It's a very controversial topic at the moment to talk about women as different from men. But I'll be completely honest with you. Biologically, there is a huge difference between men and women. We were made differently by God. Even if you go back to the Garden of Eden, we see that man was made first and the woman was created out of the rib of Adam in order to be a helpmate. We can literally see differences in the way the brain works. We think differently and we're designed to do different things. 1 Timothy 5:2 says to treat younger women as sisters in all purity. And 1 Peter 3:7 says, honor them as the weaker vessel. You see, the Bible here is acknowledging that physically, on average, women are weaker than men in terms of strength and size and physical capability. But it says to honor them in that, not to take advantage of it, not to twist it, not to manipulate, not to use and abuse, because it means you can protect, it means you can provide, and it means that you can harness your self-control to honor that woman and make her feel safe, valued, and respected, because that's what she deserves. We're not protecting and providing for her because she's incapable of doing that themselves. In fact, nowadays, women can go out and get jobs easier than men in some industries. No, the reason we provide and protect for a woman is because she deserves it. She deserves to be valued, to be respected, and to be looked after, to be cherished. They're so important, they're so valued, they're so special. They're an emotional compass. They're of the utmost importance for the raising of a family. So what does this mean practically? Well, I could make a whole video on how we should treat women, and I probably will, but I'll just make it very brief. Show respect for women. Whether you're single or you're in a relationship, I'm personally single, and I think it's more important than ever to be respectful for women, because one day I'm going to have a wife and all the women around me are going to have partners too. So I want to respect myself and my future relationship and their future relationships by guarding myself and guarding them, and not allowing myself to, make crude jokes with them, or even getting into talking stages with every girl you see. Like, so many guys do this, just talking to like 10 girls at once, kissing girls, talking to girls, getting drunk and making weird jokes with girls. Like, bro, this is not gentleman behavior. It's showing no self-respect, nor is it showing any respect for the girls around you. You are God's creation, and all those girls around you aren't just girls. They are God's daughters. They were designed and put on this earth just as much as you were. So don't think that just because you're single, you're not in a relationship, that means that you're qualified to be able to go out and talk to all these girls or kind of mess around with all these girls, to kiss all these girls. No, you're a gentleman. You're a godly man. You have respect for yourself, for the girls, and for the God that made both of you. Now, the third part of being a gentleman is speaking with purpose, holding your tongue. It says in Proverbs 17:27, a man of knowledge uses words with restraint. You were put on this planet to build God's kingdom. So are your words building, creating, supporting, leading, or are your words destroying, ruining, hurting? If they are any of those things, then maybe you need to revise what you're saying. There's a reason that your thoughts are separate from your voice. But so many of us, I have definitely fallen into this myself, are talking everything that we think. We're just speaking our mind. Thoughts are planted by the enemy. Thoughts are planted by the flesh. They don't just come from God. So if we say everything we're thinking, we're also speaking of the enemy. We're speaking of the flesh and not speaking to build God's kingdom. We're not speaking with wisdom. And this moves me on to the fourth part of being a gentleman, which is to keep your word, to be integral, to be a man that when he says yes, he means yes. In fact, Jesus even says this on the Sermon on the Mount. Let your yes be yes and your no be no. How many of you are saying things and then not sticking to it? Whether that be to other people, maybe you make a promise to somebody that you're going to be in some place, or you say to somebody that you're going to keep their promise or you're going to keep their secret, but you tell other people, or it's to yourself. You tell yourself you're going to wake up at 6 tomorrow, but you lie in. You tell yourself you're going to stop watching those videos online, but you keep watching them. You see, if you're going to say something, you better do it. So make sure that you're speaking less, but whatever you do say, you're going to stand by. And if you're worried that you can't stick to your word, then don't say it. Don't make it your words. Keep it in your head until you feel like you can follow through on that. That is being a man of integrity, a gentleman. The fifth part of being a gentleman is he shows kindness. It says in Colossians 3:12 to clothe yourselves with compassion, kindness, humility, and gentleness. This doesn't mean to be a pushover. It doesn't mean to just say yes to everything and let people walk all over you. No, you can stand firm on your beliefs. You can be tough, but you can be kind in manner. Just because you're tough doesn't mean you have to be aggressive and assertive and rude to everybody. It kind of goes back to the first point I made in this video. You can be kind, approachable, gentle, nice, but at the core of what you do, you can still stand on the foundations that you believe in, which is Christ. If somebody crosses a line and you need to stand up for yourself and your beliefs or those around you, then being kind is not just allowing it to happen. Being kind is showing that that line has been crossed, saying it, making it clear, but not doing it in a way which is unhelpful for the situation, which is just going to incite anger and more problems for both sides. It's going to cause hateful thoughts and just bad things to happen. We can be firm, grounded men whilst being gentle and not angry. The sixth part of being a gentleman is he guards himself. He guards his heart and his mind and his eyes. It says in Psalms 119, turn my eyes from worthless things. There are worthless things everywhere. Just because it exists doesn't mean it's worthy of your attention. Temptations are everywhere, but guess what? The temptation increases if you give it room, if you look at it with your eyes, if you let it come into your heart, if you consider it with your mind, then the temptation will increase and the likelihood of falling to sin also increases. So a gentleman is somebody who has self-respect for himself by saying no to even considering, looking, thinking about those things. So guard your mind. Practically, this looks like cutting distractions off. I talk about this all the time, but social media, the bad friends around you, the junk food, the bad habits, the chances are you know exactly what's holding you back in life. You're just scared to cut them off. But a gentleman has so much self-respect that he says, these things have not brought me anything but sin, but temptation. So I'm going to take control and guard my heart, guard my eyes, guard my mind, and cut it off. Now, the seventh part of being a gentleman is to do with how you react. You see, a gentleman controls his reactions. It says in Proverbs 29:11, a fool gives full vent to his spirit, but a wise man quietly holds it back. James says, be quick to hear, slow to speak, and slow to anger. Being reactive, being volatile, being subject to just getting angry at anything, this is weak. It's not a masculine trait. You see, there's a story in the Bible which talks about a man who builds his house upon the sand, and the rains came and the storm blew it away. And there was a man who built his house on the rock, and it was firm. And when the storm came, because the house had strong foundations, it didn't blow away. Christ is our rock, and we need to imitate Christ in being a rock for our family. You see, whether you have a wife or one day you will have a wife, tensions are going to get high. There might be a situation where it's easy to overreact, but your wife, your family are depending on you as the man to be the rock, to be the grounding point. You as the grounded masculine man who is leading your family has to say, okay, I'm going to acknowledge that it's emotional, but step back from that. I'm going to be calm. I'm going to assess the situation separate from how I'm feeling. I'm going to go, okay, what would Jesus do in this situation? So that was how and why we should be gentlemen, just like Christ. It all goes back to imitating Christ and being more like Jesus. So I hope you've learned something in today's video. And if you have, and you're ready to implement the points I talk about in this video and be more like Christ, then write gentlemen in the comments below and I'll give it a heart. And we'll all as brothers be praying for each other. So thank you for watching and God bless.